Don't you understand what led people to believe that Trump was cheated out of his second term? It was in part comments like the ones you made, because they rightly believed the Trump hating left would do anything to stop him, and saw your comments as an admission to that effect. It was an acknowledgement. The ends justify the means. He must be stopped. He's a unique figure. And that's just one of the many things that had people believing they will do anything. And in particular, the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop. You can ruminate on that while I get the audience up to speed with the soundbite that we're talking about.
Let me just say as preface to the soundbite that I'm not actually saying what I seem to be saying in this clip, right? This is a clip that was maliciously spread on Twitter by someone who subsequently spread a clip that tried to have me saying that I wished more children died during COVID, right? I mean, and that clip was so inept, and it was so clear what I was saying in context that not a lot of people believe that. But it's the same person who circulated the clip, and this is a larger problem again with social media, that people are behaving like psychopaths, right? I mean, people, whether they're psychopaths or not, they're actually just consciously misleading millions of people, just for the lulls, and just to exact some kind of reputational harm on people they don't like, and it's not good, right? So I'm happy to feel free to play the clip. I'm happy to talk about it, but I'm not actually saying what I seem to be saying in this clip.
Okay.
And
I got
that
it.
was reasonably clear in context. I mean, the truth is I wasn't speaking as well as I might have spoke in that context.
I got it.
So,
it's annoying to the audience to listen to the wind up without knowing what you can do that on the back end. So let me play what we have, and then you can take it on. SOT 3.
Yep.
I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely it was. Absolutely. Right. But I think it was warranted.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing that's genuinely misleading there is the final line. I think it was warranted, right? That was not what I was saying in context and what I meant to say. I mean, the distinction for me is, here's what I was talking about in context, right? So we have this October surprise dropped by Rudy Giuliani something like 10 days before the election, this laptop from hell. And this was a very unpleasant echo of what had happened in the previous election with Jim Comey deciding to revisit Hillary Clinton's emails based on the discovery of Anthony Weiner's laptop. And we know what happened there. We know that was that really, obviously I think Hillary's failed candidacy was overdetermined. She was a terrible candidate for a variety of reasons, and it's understandable she didn't become president. But we saw what happened to the polls, hour by hour after that press conference, and it did seem decisive, right? And so I viewed the emergence of this laptop, as many people did, as just this. On the one hand, it certainly seemed like it stood a good chance of being fake, or at least doctored, and some species of disinformation. But most important, not knowing what was true there, the clock was ticking, right? And it didn't seem at at all prudent to be hostage to Rudy Giuliani's timeline, right? And to have to drill down on this laptop in the 10 days before the election, making it the front page story across the board, trying to figure out what was real there. So my position was never that it was an easy call journalistically. In fact, in the context of this interview, I talk about it being a coin toss. I talk about being uncertain what I think should have happened there. But I sound very certain in that clip. In that clip, I seem to be saying that it was just a straightforwardly wise decision to ignore the laptop. What I actually was saying, and what I actually believe, is that it was a genuinely hard decision journalistically to decide what to do when that laptop emerged 10 days before the election. And I think, it's a coin toss whether or not a institution like the New York Times should have just ignored it until after the election. I'm not saying they should have ignored it till the end of time. I'm not saying that it's not totally valid now to look at what's in that laptop. Although the truth is, now that Trump is a candidate for the presidency again, I still don't care what's in that laptop, right? And this is the other point I was making. We know so much about Donald Trump and Joe Biden as people, right? These are two men who.
But this is your judgment. This is a different. This is less controversial. This is where you veer off into Trump's worse than Biden. Nothing's going to convince me differently. I get that. That we've had that debate with people many times, and that's what leads people to the polls, and they make the choice they do. It's the notion that, because you said in the interview, politically speaking, I consider Trump an existential threat, or you said that after the fact. He's an existential threat. And so the thought that he's an existential threat and really must be stopped, right? And that I'm not really interested in information that
but that's not
would
true.
Ding up.
So I just want to clarify that. I mean, I was not saying in that interview that the ends justify the means and that we are free to do illegal and unethical things in order to stop Trump. And I don't think I did not think he's an existential threat of that sort. I don't think Trump is Orange Hitler, right? I think he's a deeply selfish and unqualified person to put in the presidency. And therefore, I think he's dangerous, right? But he's not ideological. He's not nearly as sinister as he could be. And again, in the context of that interview, I made that clear. The whole bit about him being, I mean, I think part of the clip you didn't play is I drew an analogy to an asteroid hurtling toward Earth. Again, it was misleading in the clip because what I was talking about is just how irrelevant it was to whether there was a conspiracy or not, whether people are talking behind closed doors.
We didn't pull that clip because I understand that. I agree with you. You're talking about, is it a conspiracy just because you have people in a room talking about a threat coming at them like an asteroid?
No doubt
that wasn't the relevant
people are talking in public and in private about how to stop Trump, and I consider that fine. What I don't consider fine is lying about him, lying about what he actually means when he's speaking, lying about what he's done and hasn't done, lying about what he intends and doesn't intend. And so much of the problem of Trump is completely in plain view. I mean, he's.
But wait, are you saying the right doing that, or when you list that off, that's the left? That's who did that.
Oh yeah, no, that is the left,
yeah.
and I haven't done that with Trump. The point I'm making is that it was just totally valid to avert your eyes from the Hunter Biden laptop story with 10 days to run out before the election, given that this October surprise was clearly engineered for political reasons, right? So that's all I was saying in that Trump.
No, but the citizenry can avert to anything. It's the question of whether journalists should be in on it, should be making decisions to protect a candidate.
Journalists have to make editorial decisions all the time, as you know, and you signal boost things you think are important and going to make the future better than the past.
So maybe you don't run with it. Maybe the New York Times says we don't have it. We don't think the sourcing's there. But what happened in this case was the New York Post's reporting was entirely shut down. Their Twitter account was frozen. I couldn't retweet the article as somebody who wasn't shut down. There was absolutely no communication of that in our online social square. And it definitely suppressed circulation of a very big story. So it wasn't just, we, the New York Times, don't think the sourcing's there. It was, we, big tech and big journalism, are going to put our thumb on the New York Post and squash its reporting, which was clearly done to advance the Biden candidacy.
Well, let me just, again, I would dispute the fact that at the time it was clear whether the New York Post story was valid. So I do think it was an understandable judgment call on the part of the people at Twitter. I don't think it was the right call.
You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't say, we little armchair warriors will decide without having done any of the reporting. We haven't seen the laptop. We haven't talked to the FBI. We now know they had an investigation open, which we knew at the time. They haven't done anything. It's little armchair warriors saying, that hurts Biden, done. And I don't think there's anybody who believes if the story had been about Donald Trump, that they would have had the same reluctance to publish it. We all know that.
Oh no, that's completely true. Yeah. So that insofar as there, I'm acknowledging a massive bias against Trump on the part of the people at Twitter and the people in much of the established mainstream media. That's true, right? And it was understandable. And yes, if had that been Donald Trump Jr.'s laptop, there's no question there would have been a different response. And I do think it was almost certainly the wrong decision for Twitter to block that story and to ban. I think they took down the New York Post account briefly, if memory serves. I think again that's quite distinct from the New York Times just deciding not to look into it for 11 days, right? I mean that's so there were gradations to the practice of bias there, and I'm much more comfortable with what the New York Times did and didn't do than what Twitter did or didn't do.
Dogs are massive parts of our lives, right? They're our family members. They deserve to be treated appropriately. So it is important to prioritize their safety and well-being. One of the easiest ways to do this is by giving your dogs a safe and secure space just for them, like we do with Strudwick and Thunder. They sleep in their crates every night. They love it. They want to go in there. It feels like their little den. And I also know that they're safe. They're not going to get into any food that's bad for them, etc. Let me introduce you to the collapsible dog crate by the American-made company Impact Dog Crates. That's the #1 dog crate for protecting your dog in your home. Built from heavy-duty aluminum, this travel-friendly dog crate can be set up in less than 60 seconds, and it folds down to just 8 inches tall. That makes it easy for travel purposes or if you want to hide it. I know what you're thinking, but a dog crate will be such an eyesore in my home. Not necessarily, and not this dog crate. Not only does the Impact collapsible dog crate come in 5 sizes, one of which can even fit a Great Dane, but you can choose from 6 vibrant colors to match your home interior. Almost nobody else has that. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Thanks to Impact Dog Crates, keeping your dog and your home safe is easier than ever. If you want to provide a safe space for your dog, head on over to impactdogcrates.com and use the code MK for 15% off your crate. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.